Hey guys, it's D'Angelo here with Practice Biopsy, and today I have a great guest, Dr. John Vogel. All right, so he's going to be giving us some insight on some of the inner workings or behind the scenes at the ADA. Just as a disclaimer, John is not speaking on behalf of the ADA today in any way. John is just speaking as himself and an individual, and anything he says does not reflect the thoughts, beliefs of the ADA. Is that good, John?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So just give us a little intro, like where do you practice, what type of dentistry do you do, and what exactly is your affiliation currently with the ADA, just so people listening can have an idea who you are and where you're coming from.
Absolutely. So I'm a general dentist. I practice in Dallas, Texas. I've been a practice owner for about the last 3 years. Have a fee for service practice, but I also worked in corporate for a couple of years before that. And thankfully, as the result of many of the resources online, web podcasts such as yours and Dental Clinical Pearls, et cetera, really helped craft my ability to become an independent practitioner and practice owner. My affiliation with the American Dental Association essentially started the very first day that I started dental school. I have been involved in ASDA through all of dental school. I worked my way up to becoming chair of their council on advocacy. And then I've kind of parlayed that into the ADA. And that's really essentially everything that I do in the entirety of the tripartite. It's all involved advocacy, policy, regulations. So currently, I sit as a liaison from the New Dentist Committee to the Council on Governmental Affairs, but I've served on the American Dental Political Action Committee, which is our national PAC. I'm a senior director on the Texas Political Action Committee, and I serve as board of directors at our local component society, and I chair our legislative action committee. So I've held a few hats over the years, but that's why I'm super passionate about it.
Well, I'm happy you're here. Kind of like we were talking about before we started recording, with organized dentistry, we as regular dentists, we don't have a lot of names or faces that we recognize to kind of put along with all of this. Um, I know that we talked about like membership and modernizing things. It's a in the modern setting, it's a little easier for dentists to say as opposed to let's get behind the ADA. Let's get behind John. Let's get behind Dr. Kessler. Let's get behind all these people we know that have a shared support of the things that matter to us. I think the days of kind of just supporting an amorphous, faceless organization are going quickly becoming a thing of the past. So I kind of want to get into some topics that are important to a lot of the dentists that are probably listening, but I actually want to start on the flip side. What are some big challenges that the ADA is currently facing that we might not know about, or things that are currently important to the ADA? Like, what are you guys
Well, we
working
could
on?
have, yeah, I mean, we could have an entire podcast about that alone. So there's so many things that the ADA is working on. I mean, we're looking at modernizing our systems for communications. That's our management software. We are updating our annual meeting and looking at how that translates to the future. I'm sure pretty much every association knows that conferences are in the decline attendance, and there's several reasons why, whether that is kind of the modernization of the way that we receive information. No longer do we have to travel halfway across the country and take days out of our schedules at work to be able to get CE. We can get it literally at the palm of our hand while we're sitting by the pool, and we can get our updated like sex trafficking CE or opioid CEs. We don't have to attend these big conferences to be able to do that. So it is changing the way in the future of the American Dental Association, but not just the ADA, literally every single organization across the United States.
Yeah.
Some of the big things that we work on and the things that I'm most passionate about are our policy and advocacy efforts. So that looks like, dental insurance reform, dental insurance regulations, looking at improving student loan refinancing and the cost of student tuition as a whole. We're looking at opportunities for access to care and how do we improve that for the general population of the United States. I think it's a statistic for individuals that are 65 years or older that are on Medicare. a substantial portion of those don't have any dental insurance at all. So access to care for them is a major issue. And then we look at our younger populations, pediatrics. The vast majority of those are on social programs like CHIP, Medicaid. And so we look at how does federal and state regulation affect those programs and affect our patients' access to care. So those topics alone, we could probably have like 20 podcasts on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely open to having more. I think we have a lot
Yeah,
to talk about. And I think that you and I are of the same generation where we can kind of see eye to eye and communicate in a way that's really conducive to getting the message where you want. Because you have like the behind the scenes and I have the ear of like the 35 and under dentists.
yes, yes.
Um, all right, I want to clear something up because you're on
Go
Facebook, so
for
I
it.
know you see these comments all the time. So the ADA, I'll just make the statement, and then you can
Hmm.
say what's true and what's false and what's the reality and what's not. The ADA is not really working for us. The ADA is working for the insurance companies. The ADA is working for Delta Dental getting kickbacks, and the ADA is working for the DSOs.
Well,
You've
isn't
heard
that a
that,
fun?
right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook. I've seen all these things. A couple things I would say to that. One, if these were true, we would not need to be increasing dues on an annual basis to make up for revenue shortfalls if we had Delta Dental money. I wish that was the reality, but that is not the case. Um, so I can give you right off the top of my head three big examples of how that is completely false. So, one, the American Dental Association is actually in the midst of a class action lawsuit against Delta Dental. Now, I think the thing that is very important for people to know is these type of processes take a very long time. And I know in the modern world where everyone wants results within 15 seconds, that doesn't feel palatable. But the reality is, this lawsuit has been going on since 2019. This is 5 years long, and we've been trying to get this certified as a class action lawsuit. And there are allegations within that lawsuit that Delta Dental has acted in a conspiratorial manner to rig markets and rig rates and prevent other insurance companies, whether it's their own branded Delta Dentals or other insurance companies, from encroaching upon those markets. But these things take time. So that's been in the process for 5 years. I think there was an update I just read on the ADA's news that one of the judges decided not to certify that as a class action lawsuit. And so that's now going through an appeals process. So that's one example. One of my favorite examples to talk about, and so one of the things I love doing is I travel around the United States talking to dental students at their conferences, at their schools as part of the ADA Success Program, or just because they request me to come speak at their school about advocacy, is California Dental Association. So California Dental Association successfully sued Delta Dental, and that was completed, I believe, in 2018. That was a 5 year lawsuit. They were able to recuperate over $65 million for CDA dentists because Delta Dental reneged on their contractual obligations for their premier members. They decreased those reimbursements unilaterally. California Dental Association said, that's not fair. California dentist said, that's not fair. And so they sued them. It took 5 years. I believe California Dental Association was able to recoup over a couple $1 million in legal fees. But the reason why I highlight that one is, one, it's a huge success in terms of battling dental insurance companies. But also, the other reason why it's so important is I think it reminds each individual member or dentist of why organized dentistry is so important. One, I would question anyone listening to this, who is willing to take on a lawsuit for 5 years? And two, who has the money to spend millions of dollars going against Delta Dental or any of the other companies? The reality is not many people do, nor do they want that burden. And the great thing is no one has to. When we use our collective voices, our collective monies, we can hire people to do that for us. But individually, that's basically impossible. And then the third thing I'd like to point to is the ADA's successes in terms of helping states pass dental insurance regulation reform. Since 2016, I got the stats on this because I'm a numbers person and
You ready?
I love numbers. So since 2016, the ADA has helped states pass over 235 different bills to reform insurance regulation. The reason that's important is, and if everyone doesn't know, because I see this question a lot on Facebook as well, it's like, well, my state has this. Why is whatever insurance company able to do this?
Hmm.
Well, the thing that's very important for people to know is insurance is regulated on both a state level and a federal level. And it depends how those dental insurance plans are funded. If it is a self-funded plan, then it is going to be regulated under the federal level under a bill called ERISA, and so that allows them to exempt themselves from state regulations. So, for an example, if we passed a law in Texas that prohibited like non-covered services,
Hmm.
so insurance company doesn't cover veneers, but you're in contract with them, so they're going to say, well, you can only charge $500 a veneer. Most people would say, well, that's not reasonable and that's not fair. So we passed that in Texas to prevent them from doing that.
Hmm.
Well, 60% of the plans in Texas are regulated at the federal level. So 60% of the plans can say that law doesn't apply to us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of nuance.
There is an exceptional amount of nuance.
Nuance that as regular dentists we don't know, and we might benefit of getting a well-structured PDF summary of these sort of things periodically to our emails or posted in social media groups.
Yes. So I absolutely don't disagree with that. I think one of the things where the ADA has the greatest opportunity is being able to be a little less humble and take credit for our successes and
Yeah.
communicate those more effectively.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff that the ADA does that's pretty amazing. We just don't talk about it because we either assume that people know or we assume people open up the journals or the emails that they get inundated with on a daily
Yeah, we don't.
basis. Shocker. I've seen the open rates for the emails.
Okay. Um, uh, Before I want to go a little bit deeper on some of these topics, but you briefly mentioned something. I want to circle back down really quick, and you may not know or have up-to-date information on it exactly, but I know that it will be relevant to student loans, and you brought up student
Mhm.
loan management. Has there been any talk about the new big beautiful law, big beautiful bill that put a cap on cumulative federal student loans? I believe the cap was like 155,000. That number might be wrong, but it's around there. Any discussion of that cap and how that affects dental school? Because 155,000 cap cumulative, including undergrad, that'll get you through maybe 1 year of dental school some places. What do you do for the next
Yeah,
three? Has this come up
absolutely.
yet, or has it
So,
not been on the table yet? I know this change is not effective until 2026, from what I understand.
well, it's definitely something that we've been talking about at the national level. You know, um, we had been working for educational loan reform since I've started dental school.
Yeah.
And in probably gosh, I think I started dental school 2 years ago. No, I'm just kidding. I started in 2014. So I know it's been like at least 11 years that we've been
Yeah.
working on that. And it was just so difficult to get past in our very polarized government. Um, and then this got passed.
And
So
this got passed quick.
I know. And so there is one thing that I will add to that is I believe that is just for the regular loans, but then you can get an additional, I think, up to about 100,000 with the graduate plus loans for the lifetime. But I still understand and recognize that that does not
It's yeah,
cover many
even with
schools.
I know you get a little more for grad plus, but it doesn't touch dental
Yeah,
school tuition.
100%. It doesn't even get to where the average national dental debt is,
Yeah.
which I think now is around 290 something thousand, according to ADIA. There are discussions that we're having, so that gets really challenging because to change that, we're looking at having to change federal law now because that got passed into law, and that's something that we'll certainly be able to advocate for. But beyond that, then we're having to look at creative solutions. So we're looking, discussions might be about, can we partner with other vendors, whether we're endorsing them or et cetera, to be able to make up that discrepancy. So those are discussions that are definitely being had. Um, I'm sure people remember some of the big bills that have been passed in the past. That was kind of redundant, but big bills that were passed previously, and some comments about how, well, we don't really know what's in the bill until we pass it.
Yes.
We don't fully know the implications of all of these things and how it's going to affect dental schools. But I promise you that this is a conversation that is being had by ADEA, by
They're
all of the
talking about it,
deans of the
right?
dental schools. The ADA is talking about this. The states are talking about this because this is going to impact everyone. Absolutely. It's a huge, huge deal.
Okay. So we talked about student loans a little bit. We talked about insurance companies a little bit. Another thing I want to talk about is DSO. So you started your journey working for a DSO, right? And now you're private practice. Okay.
Yes.
Um, I don't know of any dentist who their dream was to work for Aspen. Okay. You usually that's not the dream, but many of our colleagues do. Many dentists work for DSOs. They work for Aspen. They work for Heartland, and I've seen posts from maybe yourself and maybe others close to the ADA saying the ADA is not just served to support private practice dentists, serves all dentists. Um, there was a colleague that I think was on the ADA board. I don't remember the name, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus on him, but it was a person who was working for the ADA, and I think that she was cut during layoffs. And I believe that her
Oh,
position was to be an advocate for the DSOs. And the response to that was that all the dentists on Facebook were really happy that she lost her job. And that speaks to the voice, and that goes into the topic of some dentists believing that the ADA is here to support the big dental corporations that have a lot of money. That's why they had an entire position on their staff to support DSOs. Is the ADA primarily supporting DSOs and the corporations as opposed to the independent dentist, or is there a balance? And is working with the Aspens and Heartlands just part of what we have to do because there are so many dentists that do work for the Aspens and the Heartlands. What's the behind the scenes thought process on that?
so that's a very good
You
question.
know
And,
what I'm
I
talking
think,
about, right? With the
yeah,
with
yeah,
kind of
yeah, 100%, 100%. I know exactly what you're talking about. I believe her name was Kathy, if I remember correctly. And I interacted with her when I was on the new dentist committee, which is an advisory committee to the board of trustees, because, of course, primarily the largest portion of individuals practicing in DSOs are younger dentists.
yes,
And it's becoming increasingly larger for
yes,
a multitude of reasons. So, one, I would like to be explicitly clear to anyone that's listening that the ADA is not bought and sold by DSOs. I, I can't even think in terms of our revenue or budget if there's anything that even comes from DSOs. There may be some collaborative plans, but the vast majority of our revenues come from our members. Um, I would also encourage people to look at the House of Delegates, our governing body of the association, and look at how many of them actually work at a DSO. The number is very small. The vast majority of people that are policymakers are individual practitioners that own their own practices. But that being said, you made a point, and it's completely relevant. There is an increasingly large number of individual dentists that are working for these corporations. And we as an association, we represent our members. We don't represent a practice modality. So we have members that are specialists. We have members that are in academia. We have members that are in public health. We have members that are in the military and armed services. We're not a practice modality. We are a membership driven organization. And so when I worked for when I worked for corporate dental, I still belong to the ADA, and I should still have a voice in the ADA and have representation in the ADA. So I don't think it's fair for people to say that we shouldn't be representing or engaging them because that is a large segment of the population. But that doesn't mean that has to be our only focus. And I do want to make one correction. Um, her her position was not to be an advocate for DSOs. Her position was to look at ways to engage DSOs and member dentists of DSOs to look at opportunities of providing value to them. So historically, the ADA did a lot of things that now DSOs do. Like DSOs provide their own internal continuing education. That used to be something that was huge and fundamental to the ADA, but that's gotten usurped by the DSOs.
Mhm.
So now we're looking at how do we provide value to those members? We have a really great disability insurance vendor. I think Protective Insurance. That's something, disability insurance or malpractice insurance is now something that a lot of DSOs offer and even pay for. Granted, it's claims made and not occurrence, and you will get stuck with tail insurance at the end of that you have to pay. They don't tell you, well, they do tell you that in the contract, but if you've never had to go through that process, that was a
Not really.
learning curve for me. But those were roles that were traditionally offered by the ADA that again DSOs offer. So it was looking at how can we be innovative to engage and provide value to those members, not to support DSOs as a singular practice modality model.
What we're kind of coming up on the time I like to keep these. What are the odds, or what's the feasibility? What are the obstacles in the ADA working with social media dental influencers like myself, like the Paul Goodman, like David Yang, um, to distribute updates as far as what you guys are doing? Like what would be the obstacles or feasibility of saying, here's a 1 month, 1 page PDF. This is what we did this month. This is how we spent your money this month because it's ours, you know. This is how we spent the
Mm-hmm.
money this month. These are our goals. These are our obstacles. These are some of our victories. 1 page PDF. You send it to me, Paul Goodman, David Yang, um, Doc Hoffpar, the ones, all the dentists that Charles that runs Clinical Pearls, all the dentists that run these groups. We get like a 1 page PDF and we can put it on our social media platforms. What would make that hard to do?
I don't think that's hard to do at all. And I think that's an excellent idea. We have talked about that as the new dentist committee. So the new dentist committee being the younger individuals within the
My
organization.
demographics 35 and under. They're the new ones.
Yes. So please believe
I want nothing
these
in
are
return other than
conversations
to
that have
make dentistry
been,
better on this.
yes, we've discussed this ad nauseum. And there have been some improvements. Communications are still our number one opportunity within the ADA. And I will take that literally right back to the ADA. I'll be there in October for our House of Delegates. And, you know,
We can start in November.
yes. So, well, I don't control anything, so I cannot make that promise. But
Yeah.
I will certainly have the discussions with the people that be. But it is something that we've been advocating for on the new dentist committee and as the younger individuals to engage influencers and engage our younger dentists in the modalities where they receive information,
Yeah.
which is no longer email,
Yeah.
which is no longer direct mailers.
Yeah. And then, and
That is
and,
exactly
and
why I'm
like
on this podcast,
if we go
by the
with this
way.
if we go with this idea, the ADA still has full autonomy over the message. It's not like we're going to alter the message. You guys could write a 1 page PDF of how the money's being spent, the battles you're currently fighting, what your wins were, what the obstacles were. You guys create it, PDF prepared by you, not edited by us in any way, and we just distribute it because we care.
I
That's
love it.
low-hanging fruit, guys.
Yes, it is a almost zero cost way to be more effective with our communication, and I like that idea. Absolutely.
So yeah. Um, that's what I have as far as that, man. We like to keep these 20 to 30 minutes. We're right in that range
Yeah.
now. Anything else you want to say to the audience or any questions that you have for me while we're right here? You can also ask me stuff later off camera.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anything you want to ask me here now
So
or anything else you want to say to the audience?
I think the last thing that I would say to the audience is there will always be forces inside and outside of the profession of dentistry that are wanting to shape the profession of dentistry. The question is, do y'all want to have dentists being that leading voice and controlling the narrative? Because people are always going to be trying to change the law on a state or national level, whether it's do it yourself orthodontics or some other vendors. There will be people trying to shape the profession. Organized dentistry is our opportunity to do that, but we can only be effective with a large membership.
Mhm.
If you want to talk about ineffective, lower membership, look at other organizations and see how effective they are. The reality is our membership is in a decline, and I'm doing anything and everything I can to help change that
Yeah.
because I've seen the power of organized industry. I've worked on a grassroots level to change the law in the state of Texas, and it is not easy. It has been a 4 year process, and we still haven't accomplished it. But it is only possible when we have a mechanism to accomplish that, and that mechanism is organized industry.
I think you
So
can.
if we're not a member, then we're leaving it up to other people to make the decisions for us.
I think you can do it. And I think a big thing with the new dentists is we want to feel like we're in the room with this. Obviously, we're not in the room in the meetings, but if you can make the younger group of dentists feel like they're in the room, which you can do with podcasts, social media groups, videos like this, make them feel like they're in the room and not just feel like bystanders. I think that you guys will move more in the direction that you're hoping for.
Yeah, well, I look forward to being able to do this more often with you and other individuals because it's something passionate. It's my hobby. I do this all for free or I self-fund it. So,
For sure, John.
um, but it's important for all of us in the way we practice, and that's why I do it. I love dentistry, and I want this profession to remain an amazing opportunity for the next generation after that. So,
I appreciate it, John.
yeah,
Hey, thanks for coming on. Have a great day.
absolutely,
This
my
is
pleasure.
great material for everybody watching.
All right. Well, thank you, D'Angelo. It was a pleasure to chat with you, and I hope you have a great day.
You too.